So, in 1977, a signal was detected, the WOW signal, which was 72-second duration and was at the hydrogen frequency, the frequency when hydrogen gets activated by light, it lets off radio waves. And the wavelength is 21 centimeters. Okay. This is actually detected by the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The reason I'm doing the video on this is because I've seen Brian Cox talking about it. The signal's never been explained. Stephen Hawking and Martin Rees haven't actually mentioned it, but they have talked about the fact that it seems highly unlikely that we're alone in the universe as beings that are created. Humans are alone as beings that created jet engines and iPads, but we have detected nothing. Anyway, the signal's never been explained. The origin has never been identified, although all human sources have been ruled out. Humans are not actually supposed to use the high frequencies left for astronomy. The idea of it being an asteroid is has been dismissed because they don't release these signals, and the idea of it being a frequency released from Earth and bouncing off a satellite has been dismissed because I think it's viewed that the satellite movement overhead is too fleeting. Anyway, I had some thoughts on this I wanted to share. One of them I realised a slight flaw in, but I thought I'd mention it. Well, it's not a flaw, my idea is flawed, but it doesn't make my video less valid. So, I had wondered whether humans started releasing television and radio signals about 100 years ago or earlier, okay? Greater we could about 100 years. I had wondered whether something had heard us and didn't like the way we heard, the way we sounded, looked, and has decided since they released this, has decided to go quiet. But I realised the fault with that is that if something had heard our signals, we detected this in 1977, so which means the signals must have been travelling through space for tens of years or hundreds of thousands of years, but assuming they've been travelling tens or hundreds, if our first signals were only released about 57 years earlier from us, we sent off the first signals in 1920. So if this signal would have had to been released, assuming we sent our fixed signals off around about 1920 or a bit earlier, this signal, if it had been released, would have been released at the very earliest, probably around 1920 or earlier, which means there is no way that whatever created this heard us, because it takes time for signals to travel through space. It's not instantaneous travel over thousands of light years. So I realised that, in fact, if this has been created by life beyond Earth, there's no way they've been influenced by this, by the earliest signals from Earth. If there was something within 10, 20, 30 light years from Earth making radios, we have detected nothing over the last sort of 100 years or so. Absolutely nothing. Apart from this, we've detected absolutely nothing from anywhere, from any direction from Earth. So there's clearly no radios out there locally. So my thoughts the other day were rubbish, but it is possible that this is from some other life, but it's never been reheard. It's impossible to test it. The idea that something may have heard us and doesn't like the sound of us, like look at us, is plausible because we've been sending signals out for a long time. There is actually evidence to support the idea that it's plausible something's heard us and doesn't like us. And this is my thought the other day. There are jungle tribes in the tropics. There's an island off India with a tribe has no contact with the outside world, and there are some Amazon tribes which are apparently uncontacted or avoid contact with the outside world. And there are also other species that are very shy and avoid contact, and if they do see us they quickly run away. Like even in Scotland, if you meet deer in a dark road at night, with car headlights, you'll see if you're in a wild area, it's away from the city, especially in the west coast of Scotland, you might see a deer, but they'll very quickly run off into the woods and you'll lose them. So a lot of wild animals are actually very shy and reclusive and avoid contact. So it is plausible that something's heard us and like they've seen us, our TV, and they don't like us and they're being quiet. But the other thought I had in this was that astronomers basically said there's no signal in this at all. It might not be strictly true. The 72 second could refer to human DNA has, we've got 3 billion base pairs. The 72 could refer to 72 billion. It also could refer to something else. It could be referred to many things. I've looked up the 70th element is hafnium, so I don't think that count. That's about it. I don't think that's what it's about. Our DNA is wrapped around on histones, bunches of proteins, and each of these is 146 base pairs, okay, wrapped around it. I've wondered whether the 72 could refer to the number of turns around histones, which is about half this. So it's possible it refers to the number of turns DNA is wrapped up in. The hydrogen frequency could be a I think if a life form knows about hydrogen and knows it lets off electromagnetic radiation at this frequency, it's bound to know about hydrogen bonding, and hydrogen bonding is what holds the strands of DNA together. And I actually did look up the history of this. Hydrogen bonding was discovered in 1912, and the first hydrogen frequency radio waves were sort of detected and predicted in the periods of the 1930 to sort of 1944. So, in fact, on planet Earth, humans have known about hydrogen bonding since before we actually knew about electromagnetic radiation coming off hydrogen. So, I mean, it seems far-fetched to me a bit. If something surely knew about DNA, wouldn't they have sent a signal out saying we've got 4 bases in the structure? Because we sent out Voyager probes with information about the double helix, the 4 bases in the structure of DNA. So why would they make it as obscure as this? I don't know. I mean, different species communicate in different ways, even on Earth. But it is possible this actually is a reference to DNA. Although I think it's a very long shot, but it could be 72 billion base pairs or 72 turns in histones, and if they know about this, they're bound to know about hydrogen bonding. So that was my 2 thoughts. I know it's all a bit wacko and crazy, but for the record, wavelength is equal to 1 over frequency. But it's just amusing. You can't test it though, not unless we rehear the signal and we can try to get more information. The hydrogen frequency actually is that's 21.106114.054 centimeters in a vacuum. So yeah, that's my crazy ideas about the WOW signal.